I'm sure many folks in my audience are members of patriot groups, survival prepper groups. I'd like to ask you guys a question. If there was someone in your group who wasn't who he claimed to be, would you know it? Are there safeguards put in place to keep them from getting too close, getting too much information? Well, what if I told you there was a simple 4-part test that you could apply to anybody in your group, and it would reveal someone working for the government? They will flunk this test every single time, and actual patriots will pass the test with flying colors. It's impossible to fake because there's a strength that they have to have, these government infiltrators, in their world that is an Achilles in the survival prepper world. And they can't have both things going on at the same time. Many people have seen images like this and think, that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell. Sunglasses, everybody's in good shape, and they've got the watch and the haircut. No. This is a distraction. This is a group of guys trying to keep you from finding out who the real infiltrators are. It seems like it would be impossible. But trust me, having been in Army intelligence and spent some time in this world, once you realize what they are looking for, it's easy to spot. But you have to put them through the 4-part test. You can't tell just by looking on the outside. You can't just ask 1 or 2 questions. It's a 4-part thing. And we would love to share the details with you over at the Patreon channel. The video is already up a couple hours ago. It's only $1 US. Is that 4-part test worth $1 US per month? Even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable. We have set this at the lowest allowable level so that the vast majority of people can get access to this information. I'm sure there might be some folks out there within the sound of my voice who are working for the government who might be curious. Please, if you think you can somehow avoid it, I'd love to see it. Because there's no way you can. Because of the requirements of those you work for versus the requirements of who you're trying to infiltrate. Once those people figure it out, you'll never win again. Psychological Operations 101. You just have to know where to look and how to look. And here's a hint. This is from 2015. Newsweek. Wanted. Men and women of steel for U.S. spy agencies. That should give you a hint. Now, in today's video here on YouTube, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple right here in Florida. I don't think they're very far from me. I think they're just south. I'm just not sure. But they basically vlog their entire life. And they have a couple of kids. Very funny. It's a couple called the Campeses. And I could not have possibly done a video or asked them to do a video that would have dovetailed better than one I did a video about 2 days ago. I don't know these people personally. They have a couple of kids. Like I said, they live here in Florida. But today, they put up a video that, like I said, I had no input into this. I had no idea they were going to do it. But it goes right along with a video I put up 2 days ago. Now, we don't collaborate. We don't talk about things. I don't even know these people. But it's basically the question asked from the movie way back in '93, the indecent proposal question. Would you take $1 million to let your spouse sleep with someone? Now, I'm not going to play the video. I don't want to do any copyright violation here, but I have the transcript up. How he asks the question, the husband asks the question, is very smart. Because when you phrase it this way, it puts an entirely different spin on the question. If offered $1 million, would you allow your spouse to sleep with someone? He says to his wife, if someone were to offer you $1 million, but the only condition is you let me sleep with another woman, do you take that $1 million? Now, with no hesitation, she says yes. She says, you could sleep with 100 women for $1 million. He's like, you would take that deal? She's like, you wouldn't? To let you sleep with another man for $1 million? For $1 million, no, absolutely not. She's like, you wouldn't be able to forget about it for $1 million. He says, when did this become a whorehouse? She says, it's $1 million. There's a lot we could do. Now, that's 30 seconds of this. I don't want to ruin the entire thing, but I know exactly what's going on in both of their heads here. And it's exactly correct and normal. They have 2 little kids, toddlers, and 1 on the way. When this is said, this question is asked, I guarantee the first thing in her mind is $1 million. Well, there's college funds taken care of. There's retirement started. There's the house paid off. The car's paid off. The credit card's paid off. We can make our children's lives so much better and so much easier. And, okay, you sleep with another girl? You might bother me for a month or 2 months or 6 months, but the $1 million would set our kids for life. Now, what video am I talking about? It's the whole mother bear thing we were talking about just 2 days ago. You see, most moms would do anything to protect their kids and to make their kids' life better than theirs. Anything at all. Even if it means that they go without or they suffer some level of discomfort. If it protects their kids, if it's good for their kids, that's all it's about. That's why it was such a strange thing, I thought, back in the 1800s when parents were selling their kids into factories that they didn't have to. And these kids were being beaten and mutilated and whipped and all these horrible things in the name of money. You see, the mother of virtually any animal in the animal kingdom would never allow that. Never in a million years. But when you, and this is, by the way, this is the Campeses, this is their YouTube page. Much bigger channel than mine. All sorts of really great content. They basically vlog their entire life. I don't know how they do it. They're like heroes, seriously. They're way younger than I am, but how they put so much of themselves out there is really, honestly, a sign of incredible amount of security and in their relationship and courage. But it's an excellent, excellent question. Because his job as the husband, and the job of any husband or protector, is to do what's best for the family. And $1 million being brought in could do wonders for anybody's family. Anybody at all. Now, the difference between this and the indecent proposal thing is, now I know a lot of people might not remember this. Most of my audience will. You're of that age. This was 93. This is way back in 93. This was just a young single couple that had no kids. And they were in a bar playing pool, and then the billionaire Robert Redford comes up and says, I'll give you $1 million for a night with your wife. Now, nobody thought about this in the context of future family or college funds for kids or anything like that. It was just fun money. And this movie set off conversations across the world and this country between married couples and single couples and engaged couples about, $1 million back in 93 was a lot more than $1 million now. And people were like, okay, morals aside, I mean, what would be the right answer? Would this destroy the relationship? Is the relationship worth $1 million? But by the time Forrest Gump rolled around, nobody even bothered to talk about The exact same thing that happened in Forrest Gump. Those of you that remember, we've talked about it multiple times. This was just the indecent proposal under different circumstances. Sally Field offered herself to the school headmaster to forge Forrest Gump's test records so that he could go to a better school and change his entire life. Could have been worth way more than $1 million, who knows, for that one night. But nobody even talked about this. And this is kind of a subject that we've been talking about for a while. If marriage is truly between a man and a woman, the conditions set of that marriage should only be between the man and the woman, correct? Meaning, let no man put asunder, let no one intervene. No one else whatsoever. Whatever decisions they make about the marriage is final. See, just like what these folks were talking about. It would only be between them what they would or would not allow. Now, he, when confronted with the idea of allowing his wife to sleep with someone else, was a lot more uncomfortable with it. Which is normal. Why is that normal? Because it's his job to be the provider for the family, not hers. It's the traditional husband and wife role. Yes, she takes care of the kids. Yes, she takes care of the home. Yes, she does all that. But as far as providing the finances, the way he words the question, if someone were to offer you $1 million to allow me to be with someone else, she would see that as her allowing him to do that to take care of the family and their needs. And it wouldn't be a personal thing. You see, that's the whole volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity thing. I had put this to collage together, really bothered people. If a couple decides that, every other Saturday night, he's going to play poker with the boys, and she's got a guy that helps her out at the range and, well, in other ways too. If that's between them, who's the victim? Just like in prostitution, who's the victim? Nobody. If it comes out on the worst end for either person involved, it was their decision to begin with. Now, like I said, I had no input into the making of this video. I know they live here in Florida somewhere. I don't know where. But it's an excellent question. If it's just between them and they make the decision as a married couple, okay, for $1 million, we're going to let this happen. And it goes to benefit the kids, and the kids have college funds and all of the other things you can do with the money. Who is the intervening authority that could say anything one way or the other? Nobody. Because nobody would be a victim. So if there's no victim, where's the crime? You see, that's a tough question. You see, you could even ask the question another way. A lot of people have a special soft spot in their heart for animals. What if somebody came up to you that you weren't married to, and let's say you were a devout Christian, and let's say, ladies, some guy came up to you and said, I will go right now, and I will pledge $1 million to save homeless and sick and abused animals in shelters everywhere. I'll give $1 million to save all of these poor, abused, and beaten animals all around for one night, for one roll in the hay. $1 million. I'm sure there's a lot of liberal women out there, the ones that love to, especially the vegans, the ones that don't like the factory farms, the abuse of the cows and the pigs and the chickens. They'd be like, wow, $1 million. Man, Whether it was $1 million a year, one weekend a year, you come spend with me, and I'll $1 million to keep chickens out of factory farms, to keep humane standards for puppies and kittens everywhere. Even if you weren't married. What would you say? You see, this is a tough question, and it's an incredibly intelligent question there for a young couple to ask, because it shows where they're at both mentally. They love each other to death. These two absolutely love each other to death. They have the most simpatico relationship I've ever seen filmed. And they get each other. They laugh at each other. They poke fun at each other. They make fun of each other. He makes fun of her for being a crazy redhead. She makes fun of him for being bald. And sometimes for being a little tubby. And so they're not insecure, but it's an interesting question. She's being mama bear and he's being daddy bear, but they both have a different response, but for the same reason. And it just goes to the roles of husband and of wife and mother. Husband and dad, wife and mother. So anyway, I will leave it there. And like I said, I'll give you the link to this. The Campeses, you can find them on Instagram. They stream on Twitch. They're on all the major platforms. They don't take themselves too seriously. They're funny. Super, super funny. They do a lot of short videos, little 1-minute deals, YouTube shorts. So anyway, I will leave it there. But the whole mama bear thing can really kind of mess with the idea of perceived morality. I'll leave it there. But once again, join us over at Patreon. You want the keys to outing government agents? If there's somebody in your groups that isn't who they're supposed to be or who they say they are, these 4 tests, and they're simple, easy tests, will out them. Because there's something that they need to have to exist in their world that is an Achilles in the civilian world. And they can't give it up. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.